Good.
Yeah. I guess I have one question before. I mean,
I don't
if
know if any
this
else
is,
will join, but go ahead.
yeah. So, when like, I mean, this is kind of more a general question, like, when you're saying like you have to watch your zinc with your copper and blah, blah, how do you know, like, if you're running deficient in any of those kind of, you
Yeah.
know,
Well, I just put a good article out in the group too. Let me see if I can get to the group. Let's see.
okay,
Let's see. Share screen. And was I out there? Let's see. Back. Hang on a second. Let's see if I can get there.
okay,
Um,
something's happening.
Trainer eyes. Do I have it open? I think I have it open. I think it's behind my thing. Let's see. Yes. Okay. So, can you see?
Yep, yep.
Okay. So Angela had asked me some questions too, but the one on copper and zinc, it's pretty tricky. Let's see, let me get back to
Okay,
the bottom here. But there is a really good article out here on the copper zinc
okay,
ratio, and it's by Deanna Meinich. She's a PhD nutrition and studies also integrative health. But this,
okay,
I put this in the group. So if you want to read this article, um, a couple
okay,
a couple things to keep in mind is that copper and zinc compete for the same receptor sites in the body. So
okay,
eating them together or taking them as a supplement together is actually a good option because then they can both kind of compete at the same time and not
oh, okay,
like out compete each other. And then the other thing I tell people is like if you're taking a zinc pill or lozenge, don't like overdo it because some people will suck those lozenges all day long and they're getting zinc, but they're not getting as much copper. So you can
okay,
deplete your copper by taking zinc lozenges for days in a row. So if I have a sore throat, I take like one zinc lozenge and then I switch to a different type of lozenge so that it
okay,
doesn't have zinc in it. So those are a couple of the things. But yeah, if you want to read this article,
okay,
there's a
okay. That's good
link
to know.
out there. So that's really good. And let me
And
get
I
back.
mean, I know like obviously calcium or vitamin D, I've had mine checked at different points just through a blood test, but I didn't know if like,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
obviously, some stuff like iron. I mean, I run anemic a lot. Sometimes I can kind of tell just how I'm feeling,
She does.
or,
Yeah. I was
if
going
I
to
go to
say,
give blood or whatever.
yeah, absolutely. And she does give like symptoms of, like a copper or zinc deficiency, but a lot of times those are really similar to other symptoms, obviously, that you could have with
Yeah.
other things. So the best way is if you're not sure, you could ask your doctor to check it. You're much more
Okay.
likely, if you don't absorb nutrients well, or if you're elderly, to possibly get off balance with those. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
read that article and see what you think, because I think, if you feel like you're kind of iffy on it, maybe you'd want to do a blood test. And there's probably different sites to, like, if you wanted to do your own test, there's a lot of different sites out there now that you can actually get a kit from and do a
Okay.
draw and send it in. So, but sometimes the doctor's office is a little bit more expensive, or a lot
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
expensive, if unless they can somehow say we want to check this for another reason.
Yeah.
So
Um, and then like, would you say in a normal, I mean, in a normal meat-based diet, like what I've eaten for 60 plus years, do you typically like those different, you know, zinc and copper and magnesium, all that, do you just typically get it anyway in your diet?
yeah, because zinc and copper are very common in our animal foods. So even
Okay.
even eggs and dairy, you'll get some from those as well. It's just
Okay.
when you do go plant-based that you're more likely to, if you don't supplement with, fish, pescatarian or something like that, you're much more likely to get a
Okay.
deficiency there as well.
And
So
I think the reality is I would probably, like always do milk and eggs just because, I like them, and
Right,
because
right,
I do have other issues that I don't, don't want to
r-
change too much,
right. And don't,
with my
yeah,
eating and stuff. But I just wondered about, like, some of the stuff, like I really think like the flexitarian and just eating, much more plant-based and much less meat would be a good thing. So it
no,
sounds,
I completely agree. And, everyone has to make their kind of own judgment call on that based on, what's best for them and what they think they can do, with family members and everything else that
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of affect you. But um, having eggs and dairy in your diet mitigates a lot of different nutrient deficiencies. And,
Okay.
and I say, plus adding fish actually helps mitigate
Yeah.
those omega-3 deficiencies, and
Okay.
some of the iron and zinc as well if you have some of the shellfish like the clams and the oysters
Okay.
and those kind of things. And
Yeah, I'm bad about that. I probably would eat the other fish before shellfish, but but
yeah, I'm not big on those either, but I will buy the canned oysters and the canned clams and then make like a linguine with those
oh,
and
okay.
do that,
Okay.
a couple times a
Kind of
month.
disguise it a little bit then,
That's right.
So,
That's right. Yeah.
um, I actually have an appointment at Mayo coming up in November 16th, because I have a form of ulcerative colitis besides my celiac. So I
Uh-huh.
have a lot of gut issues, and I
Sure.
have a lot of absorption issues. And they added on an appointment with a nutritionist. I don't know if it's because they think I don't know about celiac. I mean, I've had it forever. So, I mean,
Sure.
but I
Sure.
thought, like, maybe if she's got, he or she, I don't know who it is, if they have suggestions on, like, maybe if things in my ulcerative colitis has flared up, what do I want to omit from my diet, or what do I want to make sure to add, because that's
Sure.
what, you just, like, I know how to eat a gluten-free diet, but some of this
Yeah.
other stuff,
Yeah.
but I do think sometimes, like, the just all the processed foods just can't be helpful.
No, definitely not. Well, I'd be curious to hear from you with what they say, like if they would put you on a paleo diet, which would be like kind of totally opposite of,
Oh,
kind of
I'd hate that.
what we're
I'd
talking
hate
here.
that.
But
Yeah.
they do use that a lot for autoimmune disease. They use paleo or
Really?
Whole 30, that
Wow.
type of thing. Yeah. So
Huh.
it'd
Yeah,
be, yeah,
I'll let you know. I hope not. I mean,
yeah,
I've done Whole 30 twice when I was just trying to figure out what my own triggers were. And I never, nothing could be really, I couldn't figure out anything,
sure.
like, this is what's really bothering my gut. So
Yeah.
anyway, we'll see. I'll
Yeah.
keep
It'd
you
be
posted on
interesting
that.
to see. Yeah. Do you have any other questions?
No, nope. That was the main one. It's just kind of those levels. So I'll take a look at that article. That'd be really good.
Yeah. And then just, I posted a couple other things on here. I had a question on peanut oil, like how healthy is peanut oil? And so there's an article here as well in the group on that. The biggest thing with peanut oil is it's got a lot of vitamin E in it, but it also is like high in polyunsaturated fats, which would be like your omega-3s, your omega-6s,
Okay.
your omega-9s, and it's high in omega-6s. And we tend to get too much omega-6 in our diet, especially since we have all these fast food restaurants and people eating a lot of that type of food, or chips or other things that have maybe an omega-6 rich oil.
Okay.
And that can cause inflammation in the body if you get a high ratio of omega-6 to omega-3. So,
Okay.
so it's more anti-inflammatory to eat those omega-3s, like the fatty fish, the flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds,
Yeah, I could do
walnuts.
those. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, that's good.
but that's the problem with peanut oil, and I think why a lot of people don't use that. So I put that out there.
Okay.
And I don't, do you want me to go through the slides with you? Would that be helpful?
What are your slides on? I mean, I'm sure it would be helpful.
Yeah, it's just the ones that I put in for Tuesday. Here, let me just pull them up quick. So it's the, whoops, not the introduction. We want to go down to the bottom to the slides for the nutrients of concern.
Okay. I mean, I watched that just this morning, and that was why I thought like this has so much information. I mean, it's really, really, really good, but there's so much information that I felt like I definitely need to refer back to stuff like when I was trying to figure out stuff in my diet. Are you going to leave the like, you know, when this ends, like next week or whatever, will we be able to go back and link to some of these articles that you've posted on this group?
So yeah, you'll remain in the group. It's the calendar that will disappear. And I'm gonna let people know that they can also let me know, and I can extend their calendar date out if they haven't got through. So that's one thing I'm gonna do.
Well, last week was so busy that's why I didn't get to 4. And so I did both of those this morning. So, because I was like, oh, shoot, I think this ends. So I wanted to make sure to get them in.
Yeah.
So,
well, I can certainly go through those with you here again if you want it kind of just a refresher. And
yeah, I think that'd probably be helpful. Yeah, I think just to point out anything like, you know, you do a good job in the videos as far as pointing out some of those really important points, but yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I can just do a quick like kind of run through. But the one thing that I also wanted to mention is I had a question on salt, and as adults we're only supposed to get about 1,500 milligrams a day, and one of the gals, a lot of her recipes called for seasoned salt, and I did find a recipe for seasoned salt without salt. So I put that on the Pinterest page, and good. If I haven't yet, I'll put it also in the group. So that's out there.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And of course, there's the Mrs. Dash. She has a lot of sodium free, which can help cut down on the salt. And I also buy from her, but I can't find them around here, so I buy them online. I buy her marinade, her teriyaki marinade, which is salt-free, and also she has taco and fajita seasoning. So I buy those on Amazon. So just so people know,
some of those are so salty. I mean, some of that, you know, regularly. Yeah.
But if you find them Mrs. Dash online, then you can get those. But I don't see them in any of the stores around here. So
you had one thing in the slides too with that cast iron thing you can put in your own. Yeah, that's super cool. So can you put it like in any old pan that you're cooking in? Like if I was making a chili?
Yeah. You could just throw it in the little fish, and that can go into anything like soups or stews or even a casserole. You could throw it in there and just bake it.
Wow.
I know, isn't
Very
that cool?
That's super cool.
You can find those.
That'd be good for me.
Amazon. Yeah, those are on Amazon as well. I've looked them up.
Okay, good. Yeah, thanks. Well, go ahead and let's go through those. That'd be good.
Okay, so I won't spend a lot of time on this one because you've seen it, but basically, you know, what sources we find these things in, and then why, or what sources for plant-based down here in the green. So, and again, if you're having milk and eggs in your diet, that's going to mitigate a lot of those these nutrients of concern. But iron and omega-3s can definitely be a concern, even if you're having doing a vegetarian diet and doing milk and eggs. So those are a couple of things we have to be concerned about. If you go vegan, then you have all these nutrients are of concern. So iron, the sources that are the most absorbable are all from animals, but those non-heme sources, which are plant sources, if you're eating those, they recommend that you have that iron with some vitamin C, and that you actually double that RDA. So if you're trying to get in 8 milligrams a day, which is men, and postmenopausal women would be 8. Women that are still having their menses would want to have about 18 milligrams a day of iron. So they actually recommend that you double the amount of iron if you're only getting it from plant sources, because it's just not as readily absorbable. And
Hey,
of course,
Sandy, I'm not seeing the slides. I'm just seeing trainer eyes.
oh, okay. So maybe I left you here. Let me go back here. Share screen. I might have left you on a different page.
There you go.
Are you seeing
Oh,
them
yep,
now?
there they are.
Okay,
Yep,
perfect.
yep,
Yes.
perfect.
Thanks for letting me know.
Good, thank you.
Okay, so then we've got, if you do fish, then you've got sources, clams, oysters, mussels. Those shellfish are going to give you some iron. Vegetarian sources I've got listed here. And then just so we know too that there's some things that can slow iron absorption. So the phytates that we find in legumes and grains, and that's generally if we don't, cook them. When we cook them, we do tend to lose some of those phytates, or anti-nutrients is what they call them. But if you are eating foods with a lot of those phytates in them, if you can add a source of vitamin C, again, that's going to help you pull the iron out of them. Calcium can interfere with iron absorption as well. So if you're taking a supplement, you want to take it away from your iron-rich foods, or if you're taking an iron supplement, take those at separate times of day so that that doesn't interfere. And also polyphenols that are found in our coffees and our teas and wines, those can interfere with iron absorption. So trying to keep those away from those iron-rich meals if possible. And then just for, again, that
There's a little fish. Yeah.
there's a little fish and cast iron. And I thought that this study was really cool here because it just kind
Yeah.
of showed like how much you can increase the amount of iron by cooking in a cast iron skillet. And so what they found is moist and acidic foods absorb more iron. A new skillet, of course, is going to give you more iron than an older skillet. And that if you stir the foods in the pot or cook them longer, they're going to pick up more iron as well. So just using
That's
that,
great.
yeah, that cast iron skillet. Or again, if you're making a super stew, go ahead and get yourself one of the little lucky iron fish to throw in there. And then zinc, that RDA is about 11 milligrams per day for men, 8 milligrams for women. And again, it's found in our animal foods. So if you are pescatarian and you're eating dairy and eggs and well, you can mitigate zinc pretty well. If you're only doing plant-based vegan, there are some sources I highlighted over here on the side. So some of those beans, fortified breakfast cereals, pumpkin seeds and cashews, chickpeas, those can all be good sources of zinc as well. And then again, I put copper and zinc, I put that article out there for the group.
Yeah, that'll be good. I'll look at that for sure.
To be out there. Omega-3s, there's 3 omega-3s that are essential. So our ALA are which we find in our plant sources, and they have an RDA for that. 1.6 grams per day for men, 1.1 for women. And again, you're going to find that in those chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, walnuts, edamame, kidney beans. Those are all good sources. And then fatty fish contains the EPA and the DHA. There's no RDA actually established for those, but generally from the studies, they've determined that you should get 250 to 500 milligrams per day to help contribute to that. Again, the fatty fish are going to contribute to that. Seaweed and algae, such as nori and the spirulina and chlorella, they contain EPA and DHA, but the amounts aren't well established in those. So if you're not eating fish twice a week, you might want to take a fish capsule, or if you're vegan, you might want to use an algal supplement.
And how much fish oil would you recommend people would take?
Well, probably in that same amount, that
okay,
250 to 500 milligrams per day.
Okay.
Yep.
I used to do that, but I don't anymore. But I did used to for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know why I stopped.
Yeah. And I think it's a good thing to do. And some of the multivitamins now will contain fish oil complex in it too,
Okay.
depending on how, how much you want to spend on those
Yeah.
multivitamins.
Yeah.
But, so just some examples here, trying to get that 1.1 to 1.6. A teaspoon of flaxseed oil can help you get there, half a tablespoon of flaxseed, 5 walnut halves, or 2 teaspoons of chia seed. And I've got that all kind of broken down, ALA, EPA, DHA over here. The algal oil, so there's many choices of that online, and they recommend about that 500 milligrams a day. And then here is why, you hear eat fish twice a week. If you eat 6 to 7 ounces of a fatty fish like salmon a week, you're going to get, did I put it up here?
What you need.
It might be behind you. Okay.
Okay.
So you can see the great amounts here that you're getting.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's why it gives you, it's not like you have to have it every day if you're getting, so it's the average over the week of getting those nutrients. So
so it stays in your body if you
yes.
have, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
If you think about fat soluble, well, fat loves to stay in our bodies, right? So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
the fat soluble vitamins, those tend to stay in our body. So let's move on here. So calcium, the RDA is 1,000 milligrams per day, or 1,200 milligrams for women over 50 and men over 70. And so again, you can mitigate that if you are lacto or lacto-ovo vegetarian, eating those dairy and eggs. But then here's some of the sources listed for calcium. The soy and the nut milks, the fortified orange juice. I know Minute Maid makes a fortified orange juice.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Soybeans are a good source, the white and the navy beans, the chickpeas, almonds, sesame seeds and tahini, chia, flax seeds, ancient grains like amaranth and teff, seaweed, dark leafy greens, figs, oranges, black currants, and blackberries, and then that blackstrap molasses. So if you like molasses, okay, that could be something you could stir into your oatmeal in the morning and help increase that amount of calcium that you're getting in. And then just some of the, again, here's a Tropicana, it's with calcium. And
I'm on a Zoom call.
What's that?
Oh, Paul was asking me what I was doing. I was like, I'm on a Zoom call.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry, I thought you were asking me a question, but
yeah,
so,
sorry.
Anyhow, so about a third of that 1,000 milligrams you can get from a cup of orange juice, so that could be a good strategy. The blackstrap molasses is going to be about 120 milligrams, and then a chia seed in 2 tablespoons. So if you made a chia seed pudding or added chia seed to a smoothie, you can get about 180 milligrams from that. Of course, yogurt is a good source. Dairy milk or the fortified nut milks are a good choice as well. Vitamin D, 15 micrograms per day, which equals about 600 IUs. A lot of times you see it on the supplement in IUs. So about 1,000 IUs would be about 25 micrograms, or like about what we need a day, a little bit more than what we need a day. Again, it's mainly found in salmon, eggs, and shellfish. So if you're not eating those, you want to look for some of those fortified foods that contain vitamin D. So those nut milks, orange juice, the cereals, some of the mushrooms, they actually put under UV light, and they're supposed to be labeled, but then that significantly increases the amount of vitamin D in those mushrooms. So you'd have to see that on the label, like that they've been under UV light.
Okay.
Sunshine, they say 10 to 30 minutes 3 times a week is adequate for most people. And that's going to depend on the time of year and how much exposure you have your skin. Supplements, there are vegan vitamin D supplements that are available. And generally D2, if you take D2, is plant-based. So if you're wanting to take a plant-based vitamin D supplement, you would look for D2, or D3. It would have to be either an algae or a fungus combined, what they call a lichen, LICHEN based. So that would be a D3 that is plant-based. So, and then taking vitamin D with a meal that includes fat helps it to absorb better, again, because it's a fat soluble nutrient
Okay.
there. And all right, B12. There's not a lot of sources of B12, especially like if you're plant-based. So again, you're going to mitigate it if you're lacto-ovo vegetarian or you're pescatarian. You can get some of that B12 in. But if you're vegan, you're going to probably go for the fortified nutritional yeast. And make sure if you're buying that nutritional yeast that it says fortified on it, because that means that they've added B12 to it. But that's a great, and I don't know if you've scanned through some of the recipes to make like a cheese sauce with, or popcorn. I made let's see, scalloped potatoes a couple weeks ago, and I made it with the recipe I have on the Pinterest site that has the nutritional yeast in it. So
I think, did we use the nutritional yeast in that one salad dressing?
or
maybe that was hemp. That was hemp.
We used it for, yeah, I don't know if
maybe
we used it in any of the recipes.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I probably was thinking about that hemp stuff because I hadn't bought that before. So, and that dressing was really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And then besides the fortified nutritional yeast, again, look at that. It gives you 7.5 micrograms. Yeah, 3 days worth, basically. Plant milk and cereals fortified with B12, and I'll show you, I think I'm showing you some of those. Nori, which is what the sushi is wrapped in, or shiitake mushrooms. So those can be good sources. And then, yeah, here's some cereals that are higher in B12 if you're just looking for something off the shelf. The multigrain Cheerios, the total whole grain flakes, grape nuts, they all have the day's supply. And then the Post bran flakes or Raisin Bran have about 2.16 micrograms, so just shy of the day's supply. So, all right, that's it. This is just the challenge to try some different dessert and snack options to see what you like. So
sounds good.
All right,
good.
Do you have any other questions?
I don't think so. I'll kind of think on it, and if I do, I'll shoot you a note in the group or an email or whatever. But yeah, I just want to keep trying to make some switches and see what happens. So
yeah, well, that's why it's exploring, right?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah.
Good.
Excellent. Well, good. And I really appreciate your Pinterest recipes. I think that's super helpful because, there's a lot out there and it's hard to search for them and it's hard to know what's good. So I find that really helpful. So that's great.
Yeah, if I find something that's good, I like to put it out there. So
yeah, perfect.